The test of the actor. The interest of bad plays lies in the test which they afford of the capability of the actor. To what extent, however, can an actor really carry through a play which has not even the merits of its defects, such a play, for instance, as Mr. Henry Arthur Jones has produced in The Princess's Nose? Mr. Jones has sometimes been mistaken for a man of letters, as by a distinguished dramatic critic, who, writing a complimentary preface, has said, "The claim of Mr. Henry Arthur Jones's more ambitious plays to rank as literature may have been in some cases grudgingly allowed, but has not been seriously contested." Mr. Jones himself has assured us that he has thought about life, and would like to give some representation of it in his plays. That is apparently what he means by this peroration, which once closed an article in the 19th century, "O human life! So varied, so vast, so complex, so rich and subtle in tremulous deep organ tones, and soft proclaim of silver flutes, so utterly beyond our spell of insight, who of us can govern the thunder and whirlwind of thy vintages to any utterance of harmony, or pluck out the heart of thy eternal mystery?" Does Mr. Jones, I wonder, or the distinguished critic, really hear any soft proclaim of silver flutes, or any of the other organ effects which he enumerates, in The Princess's Nose? Does anyone seriously contest its right not to rank as literature? The audience, for once, was unanimous. Mr. Jones was not encouraged to appear. And yet there had been applause, prolonged applause, at many points throughout this bewildering evening. The applause was meant for the actors. If Mr. Jones had shown as much tact in the construction of his play as in the selection of his cast, how admirable the play would have been. I have rarely seen a play in which each actor seemed to fit into his part with such exactitude. But the play. Well, the play began as a comedy, continued as a tragedy, and ended as a farce. It came to a crisis every 5 minutes, it suggested splendid situations, and then caricatured them unintentionally. It went shilly-shallying about among the emotions and sensations which may be drama or melodrama, whichever the handling makes them. "You see, there is a little poetical justice going about the world," says the princess, when she hears that her rival, against whom she has fought in vain, has been upset by Providence in the form of a motor car, and the bridge of her nose broken. The broken nose is Mr. Jones's symbol for poetical justice. It indicates his intellectual attitude. There are many parts of the play where he shows, as he has so often shown, a genuine skill in presenting and manipulating humorous minor characters. As usual, they have little to do with the play, but they are amusing for their moment. It is the serious characters who will not be serious. They are meant well, the action hovers about them with little tempting solicitations, continually offering them an opportunity to be fine, to be genuine, and then withdrawing it before it can be grasped. The third act has all the material of tragedy, but the material is wasted, only the actress makes anything of it. We know how Sullivan will take a motive of mere farce, such words as the "O Captain Shaw" of Iolanthe, and will write a lovely melody to go with it, fitting his music to the feeling which the words do but caricature. That is how Miss Irene Vanbrugh handled Mr. Jones's unshapen material. By the earnestness, sincerity, sheer nature, power, fire, dignity, and gaiety of her acting, she made for us a figure which Mr. Jones had not made. Mr. Jones would set his character in some impossible situation, and Miss Vanbrugh would make us, for the moment, forget its impossibility. He would give her a trivial or a grotesque or a vulgar action to do, and she would do it with distinction. She had force in lightness, a vivid malice, a magnetic cheerfulness, and she could suffer silently, and be sincere in a tragedy which had been conceived without sincerity. If acting could save a play, The Princess's Nose would have been saved. It was not saved. And the reason is that even the best of actors cannot save a play which insists on defeating them at every turn. Yet, as we may realize any day when Sarah Bernhardt acts before us, there is a certain kind of frankly melodramatic play which can be lifted into at all events a region of excited and gratified nerves. I have lately been to see a melodrama called The Heel of Achilles, which Miss Julia Neilson has been giving at the Globe Theatre. The play was meant to tear at one's susceptibilities, much as La Tosca tears at them. La Tosca is not a fine play in itself, though it is a much better play than The Heel of Achilles. But it is the vivid, sensational acting of Sarah Bernhardt which gives one all the shudders. The Heel of Achilles did not give me a single shudder, not because it was not packed with the raw material of sensation, but because Miss Julia Neilson went through so many trying experiences with nerves of marble. I cannot help wondering at the curious lack of self-knowledge in actors. Here it is a play, which depends for a great deal of its effect on a scene in which Lady Leslie, a young Englishwoman in Russia, promises to marry a Russian prince whom she hates, in order to save her betrothed lover from being sent to Siberia. The lover is shut in between two doors, unable to get out. He is the bearer of a state secret, and everything depends on his being able to catch the 11 p.m. train for Berlin. The Russian prince stands before the young Englishwoman, offering her the key of the door, the safety of her lover, and his own hand in marriage. Now, she has to express by her face and her movements all the feelings of astonishment, horror, suspense, love, hatred, distraction, which such a situation would call up in her. If she does not express them, the scene goes for nothing. The actress stakes all on this scene. Now, is it possible that Miss Julia Neilson really imagined herself to be capable of rendering this scene as it should be rendered? It is a scene that requires no brains, no subtle emotional quality, none of the more intellectual merits of acting. It requires simply a great passivity to feeling, the mere skill of letting horrors sweep over the face and the body like drenching waves. The actress need not know how she does it, she may do it without an effort, or she may obtain her spontaneity by an elaborate calculation. But to do it at all she must be the actress in every fiber of her body, she must be able to vibrate freely. If the emotion does not seize her in its own grasp, and then seize us through her, it will all go for nothing. Well, Miss Neilson sat, and walked, and started, and became rigid, and glanced at the clock, and knelt, and fell against the wall, and cast her eyes about, and threw her arms out, and made her voice husky, and it all went for nothing. Never for an instant did she suggest what she was trying to suggest, and after the first moment of disappointment the mind was left calmly free to watch her attempt as if it were speculating round a problem. How many English actresses, I wonder, would have been capable of dealing adequately with such a scene as that? I take it, not because it is a good scene, but because it affords so rudimentary a test of the capacity for acting. The test of the capacity for acting begins where words end, it is independent of words, you may take poor words as well as fine words, it is all the same. The embodying power, the power to throw open one's whole nature to an overcoming sensation, the power to render this sensation in so inevitable a way that others shall feel it, that is the one thing needful. It is not art, it is not even the beginning of art, but it is the foundation on which alone art can be built. The other day, in Ulysses, there was only one piece of acting that was quite convincing, the acting of Mr. Bruff as the swineherd. It is a small part, and an easy part, but it was perfectly done. Almost any other part would have been more striking and surprising if it had been done as perfectly, but no other part was done as perfectly. Mr. Bruff has developed a stage personality of his own, with only a limited range of emotion, but he has developed it until it has become a second nature with him. He has only to speak, and he may say what he likes, we accept him after the first word, and he remains what that first word has shown him to be. Mr. Tree, with his many gifts, his effective talents, all his taste, ambition, versatility, never produces just that effect, he remains interestingly aside from what he is doing, you see his brain working upon it, you enjoy his byplay, his gait, his studied gestures, absorb you, how well this is done. You say, and how well that is done. And, indeed, you get a complete picture out of his representation of that part, a picture, not a man. I am not sure that melodrama is not the hardest test of the actor, it is, at least, the surest. All the human emotions throng noisily together in the making of melodrama, they are left there, in their naked muddle, and they come to no good end, but there they are. To represent any primary emotion, and to be ineffective, is to fail in the fundamental thing. All actors should be sent to school in melodrama, as all dramatic authors should learn their trade there.